Hey everybody, hope you're having a good day. This is lesson 10 for Module 3. And today we're going to be adding fractions whose sums are going to be greater than 2. And so every expression that we look at today is going to have mixed numbers. So we're just going to start jumping into it by taking a look at a specific expression. I got 2 and 1/5, and I'm going to add in 1 and 1/2. And now, what I want to do is just start off by taking a look at this and drawing some things here to help you kind of visualize this and see what this actually is like. So we're going to draw our number line, and we're going to do something here. I'm going to start off with 0, and we'll go 1. If I'm looking at this, I have a 2 and I have a 1, and then I have some fractions I need to add in. So I know it's going to be higher than 3, so we'll go to 2, and we'll go to 3, and we'll go to 4, and I think it's going to hopefully be between 3 and 4, but you never know. Let's put in 5 just in case. Okay, we're going to start off here, and we're going to go down the number line based upon what we have. And we're going to start off just by looking at our whole numbers. And so 2 and 1/5, I know I have to go up. Let's go up by 2. Let's just separate this out and go up by 2. So we're going to move over by 2. Okay. And then let's go over by this whole number here as well, because it's easy for us to do that. I'm going to go from 2 to 3. And so now I'm sitting at 3, and I only have these little fractions to add in next. Well, let's add in the half, because that's easy for me to visualize. I know it's just a halfway between 3 and 4, so I'm going to add in my half. And then 1/5, well, that's just a little bit. It's not even half. So it's just going to be just a tiny little hop, skip, and a jump right here to get to 1/5. And I know that my answer, my sum, is going to be someplace right around here, someplace between 3 and 4, and definitely bigger than 3 and a half. What I want you to see by this is that when we have something like this, an expression like this, we can also write this expression like this. I can space these out. I can take my 2 as its own whole number. I can take my 2, and I can add my 1/5, and I can add my 1, and I can separate that out from my 1/2, because these are my wholes, and I have those, and nothing will change those. So now if I do that, well, then I could probably do this. I can just take my 2 and my 1, and I can put them together to make 3. And then all I have to do is now I have to add in these fraction parts. Okay, so 1/5 and 1/2, and I gotta put those in parentheses to say I gotta do that first, and then I can add them to my 3. And so what this looks like to me is it kind of lines up here, doesn't it? I have 3 and I have close to 4. So then this is a great way of taking this problem and making it manageable, making it easy for me. I'm just adding my whole numbers and then adding my fractions. I'm separating the parts out. If I do that, if I'm looking at 1/5 and 1/2, I have to make them equal sizes. I can't just add those together. So I need to go about making them into a common denominator, having them be the same size piece. If I do that, well, I'm looking at 5 and 2, and I know they share a 10. If I do 5 multiplied by 2, I'm going to get 10. And I think that's probably the first one I can do. So let's do that. Let's make it into tenths. If I want to make them into tenths, I'm going to turn my 1/5 into tenths. I'm going to do this by multiplying the top and bottom by 2. 5 times 2 is 10, and 1 times 2 is 2, and I'm going to get 2/10. And so I'm gonna rewrite this equation over here as I get more information. So this is 2/10 instead of 1/5. Now let's take this 1/2 here, and let's turn him or her, could be a her, into tenths as well. 2 times 5 is 10, so whatever I do to the bottom, I need to do to my top. And 1 times 5 would be 5. So now I'm going to put that back up in here. I have my 2/10, and I'm going to add in my 5/10, and I'm going to get, well, let's see, my 2/10 plus 5/10, or 2 plus 5, is going to equal 7/10. So I have my 3, and I need to add in 7/10 to get a total of 3 and 7/10. Okay, awesome. What I did here, let me just go over what I did was, I took my 2 and 1/5 and my 1 and 1/2, and I separated them out into 2 and 1/5. and I separated this one out into 1 and 1/2. Then I took my two whole numbers and I added them together to get 3. And then I took my fractions and I put them over here, and I said I need to add them together. And I did, but I can't just add them straight up together. I had to change their denominator so that I could do that. I had to rename them. And so I renamed them using tenths. I got 2/10 and 5/10, which I put up over here. 2/10 plus 5/10. When I added them together, I got 7/10, which I just lumped in with my 3 to get a total sum of 3 and 7/10. Okay, cool. So we're just able to take that whole number and take the other whole number and put them together. Let's try it with another one then. Let's do 2 and 4/5 and add in 1 and 1/2. Same thing. I want to visualize what this is like. I want to visualize it. I know I have 2 and 1, so I'm going to have at least 3. 3, 4, 5. So let's go to 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do 5. Okay. And I'm going to go over by 2. This is just for me to kind of get a picture of where this is going to end up. Prediction. I'm going to add another 1 plus 1. And I got to add in a 1/2. Once again, I'm jumping to the 1/2 here. And then I got 4/5. 4/5 is almost 1. It's almost a whole. So I know it's going to be almost a whole. It's going to be short of this 1/2 mark here. And so I'll put that in as my adding my 4/5. So I know that my sum is going to be somewhere between 4 and 5. Okay, sounds great. So let's go about using our new strategy to do this. If I break this out, I have 2 and I have 4/5. And if I break this out, I have 1 and I have 1/2. Awesome. We're going to add all those guys together. So let's take our 2 and the 1. And let's add this guy and this guy over here. 2 and 1 is 3. And then I'm going to add in my fractions, but I'm going to do them first. So I'm going to put them in parentheses. 4/5 and 1/2. Once again, I have to find my common denominator. I can't just add these together. They're not the same size. And so I need to do that. So 5 and 2, once again, 10. 10 is going to be our number. So let's just go about doing that here. I got 4/5, and I want to turn it into tenths. And 5 times 2 is 10. 4 times 2 is 8. So if I rewrite this equation, I'm going to rewrite it over here. 3 plus 8/10, and I have a 1/2. 1/2. I know I'm multiplying it by 5. I know I'm multiplying it by 5 at the top of my numerator. So now I have, I'm going to put it up here, 5/10. So now I have, I've renamed these. I've put them up here. I'm going to just set this 3 aside because my parentheses tell me I need to do this first. 8 and 5 is 13. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to rewrite it over here as 3 plus I have 18/10. Well, I know I can separate that out into 10/10 and 8/10. 10/10, that's a whole. That's 1. So I can take that 1, I'm going to rewrite it over here. I'm going to write 3 plus 1 plus 8/10. Well, obviously I can rewrite that as 4 and 8/10. And I know that those are both even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, 8. 2, 4, 6, 8, that's 4. So I have 4 and 4/5. A couple of those in half. Awesome. So just to go over what I did, we had our mixed numbers over here that we were adding. We put them on a number line to figure out that it was going to be between 4 and 5, but on this side of the 1/2 mark. I split them out into 2 and 4/5 and 1 and 1/2. Added my whole numbers up to get 3. Put my fractions over here. Had to rename my fractions because they didn't have the same denominator, so we renamed them using tenths. I multiplied this one by 2 and this one times 5, and I got 8/10 and 5/10. When I added those together, I got 18/10, which was a mixed number. Sorry. Rewind that one. I rewound. I got 18/10, which was an improper fraction. Ding, ding. So I busted that out into 10/10, which was my whole, and 8/10, which was my fraction. And I said 10/10 was 1, 8/10, and so I added those up to get 4 and 8/10, and I simplified that to say 4 and 4/5. Okay, let's do one more then. Let's do 3 and 1/2 and we're going to add in 4 and 7/8. Okay. Just to begin with, where is this going to be? What numbers is this going to be between? If I do this, I know I have 3 and 4. Let's just start with 3 then, and say I just added my 3. Cool. So I'm going to have 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and let's do 9. Okay, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You never know where we'll end up, so just be safe. I got 4 more that I'm adding in, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 and 4 is 7. Add in my half from 7, dink, right here. It's a half. And 7/8. It's almost a whole once again. So I'm going to be up here. So the sum of this, put my 7/8 there. The sum of this expression is going to be somewhere between 8 and 9, and probably on this half of the half mark, right? So this side of the half mark. So okay, let's do what we know how to do here now. We're going to separate these out. 3 and a half, and 4 and 7/8. I'm going to add all those up. I'm going to take my 3 and my 4, put them together to get 7, and then I'm going to add in my fractions. I got 1/2, and I got 7/8. Now looking at that, I don't need to multiply 8 by 2. I could do that. I could do 8 by 2. I could work with 16ths here if I really wanted to. I could make everything 16ths. I think it's easier if I just keep this 7/8 the same and change my 1/2 into 8ths. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add 7, and I'm going to set this up, and I'm going to already include my 7/8. I'm doing that because it's easy. It's one less step that I'm going to need to take in the end to try and simplify things down. But you could use 16ths if you wanted to. If you wanted to, you could use something else. You could do any multiple of these two, and it would work out in the end. You would just have to simplify it down. Let's turn halves into 8ths. Got 1/2. I'm going to multiply that by fourths to get 8ths. 1 times 4, that will be there. So 4/8. So I'm going to put my 4/8 in here. Now I can add that up. 4/8 and 7/8. 4 and 7 is 11. So that's going to equal 7 plus 11/8. 11/8 is 8/8 plus 3/8. So when I do that, I'm going to bust this down into 7 plus my 1 plus 3/8. That's going to be 8 and 3/8. And I was right. It falls somewhere between 8 and 9. So my original estimation was correct, and that makes me feel good about myself when I do that. Okay. Now let's just do one more. This one's going to be a little bit bigger, but it's not anything that we can't take care of. Okay, but that's kind of the reason I want to show you this one. So it's 15 and 5/6 plus 7 and 9/10. Okay. Well, might as well throw it on a number line. I know I got 15. Let's start at 15. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Okay, this would be 24, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. I'm doing this because I want to show you how you can do this. You don't have to do this if you feel like you can estimate it, or you just want to jump right into it. That's fine with me. I'm adding my 15. I'm going to add 7 more. 7 and 15 would be 22. And I'm going to add my 9/10, which is almost 23. I'm going to add my 5/6, which puts me someplace between 23 and 24. 15 and 7, that leaves me 22. And I need to add in my 5/6 and my 9/10. Awesome. Well, I know looking at my tenths that I'm going to need to have this be a multiple of 10. On my common denominator here. And if I'm looking at 6s, I'm trying to think of all the multiples of 6 that I know that can lead me to something that is a multiple of 10. And I know that 5 times 6 is 30. So I think we're going to deal with this in 30ths. All right? So let's take our 5/6 and turn that, or multiply it by something to get 30ths. All right? Well, 6 times 5. So 5/5, so that would be 25/30ths. So I can add this up over here. I can rewrite this. 22 as 25/30. 30ths. Alright, so I got 25 30ths. I'm going to turn my 9/10ths into 30ths as well. So what do I need to do to multiply that to get 30ths? Well, 10 times what is 30? 10 times 3. So I'm going to multiply that by 3/3. So 9 times 3 is 27. So I have 27 30ths. So I put that up here. So I have 22. I have 25 and 27 30ths over here. 25 and 27. I think about that as 25 and 25. 2 quarters. 25 and 25 is going to equal 50, and I add my other 2 in there. So I'm getting 52 30ths over here. So I can rewrite that down here as 22 and 52 30ths. 52 30ths is an improper fraction, right? So we have to break that down. 30 30ths is going to be our whole, and then we're left with 40, 50, and 22 30ths. So I can take my 22, add it to my 30 30ths over here. I'm going to get 23 and 22 30ths. I know both of those are even numbers, so I can cut them in half. So 22 30ths, I can turn that into 11 15ths, and my total sum in the end of this whole thing is going to be 23 and 11 15ths. So today, just go over what I've talked about. We've taken our improper fraction, our mixed numbers here, and we've added in our whole numbers together, and then taken our fractions on the side and added them together. And we've needed to make those into common denominators in order to make that happen. We did that. We renamed them over here. We added them up, and we simplify if we can. I think you guys are doing really well on this. 16-minute video. This is one of the longer ones we've made. If you've made it this far, it means you're dedicated. It means you're really into this, and you're really making sure that you understand that. So I'm proud of you guys for making it this far. Keep doing a great job. Post any comments or questions that you have. Thanks for watching, and take care.